Hi, this is Gil Robles again, and I, of course, have another video, and I'm going to do something completely different from what I normally do on these videos. First of all, I'm using Photoshop here. Usually I'm using Sketchbook, or what was formerly known as Sketchbook Pro. And the idea for this came from another YouTuber, and his name is Marco Bucci, and I will definitely share the link below to his YouTube channel. And the idea is to just begin by throwing down paint. Just begin, not to worry about being too orderly. Of course, I have an idea of the direction I'm taking this in, but the idea for this came from a video that Marco Bucci did, and what he did was he demonstrated different methods of doing a Batman portrait, and it's different methods of painting. And one of them that he demonstrated was the idea of bringing order from chaos, where you just throw stuff down. Now, if you look at this, I'm not as careful as what I usually am when I started painting, and the reason, and I'm also speeding up this video, so it took a lot longer to get to just this point. And the reason why I like this demonstration and I wanted to try it so much, and why it appealed to me, was because once you start throwing down everything, once you have a mess on your canvas, what you have to do is you got to find a way to rescue it. And how I knew I was going to do that is by immediately relying on the fundamentals, on what do I need to do to bring order out of this chaos. What do I need to do to bring some sense into all this color and stuff that I threw down? So I needed to rely on my drawing skills, of course, and I needed to find the image. And it's not too different from the way a sculptor would work, where a sculptor would work on a big slab of clay, and what he would do is take things out and put things back in and model things till he gets the clay to look like what he wants it to look like. And that's the same thing that I'm doing here now, with the addition of color. But basically the most important thing about a painting is the drawing first, and then the value structure afterwards. And after the value structure, then you can consider color. But I would put the value in the drawing ahead of the color, because I explained it in the other video. I have another channel where I did a longer version of this in real time, and I took a lot longer. So this is just basically, rather than me going into too lengthy an explanation of everything, this is basically a shorter version of that video, just in case there are those who either don't want to sit down and watch a long video and would prefer this, and where you'll see me go through the painting and stuff like that, and I'll explain what I can in this short of a time. And for those who want a lengthier video and want to take a look of the painting being done in real time, then I'll add a link to that video. The lecture is obviously a lot longer there, or my talk is a lot longer there, and a lot more detailed. But first of all, in using Photoshop, what I'm doing here is I'm not relying on any of the digital tricks or anything like that, or tips or whatever. Not that they aren't good or aren't important, because they are, but I'm trying to rely on this, and to be honest, I enjoy doing these things as if I were doing them in traditional media. So I rely more on my drawing skills and less on all the bells and whistles that a program provides. And to me, which is this is an important thing. Why? Because it's not the software, it's not the medium that's important. And yeah, you can use traditional media, and there are tricks to using traditional media too. Whether it's oil or watercolor or pencil or pen and ink, there's many things that you can do to add to the paintings, whether it's treating the surfaces that you're working on, or adding different things, whatever. There are other tricks, but the thing is, what I want to do is to not go too far in that realm, because I want to rely on the brush, and for that reason I only chose one brush for this and for the other demonstration. And I only chose it's a chalky brush. It kind of looks like pastel, so I only have one brush, and I may change the size of the brush, I may change the opacity of the brush, and I may change the flow of the brush while I'm using it. So I'll vary that according to what I feel the needs are for the painting. I'll also do what I have a habit of doing, and that is once I get done with the layer underneath, I'll open up a new layer on top of that, and I'll change the opacity of that layer, then I'll merge the layer, and then I'll go on to a new layer, and so forth, to build up the painting slowly. Changing the opacity helps me to either change the color temperature from warm to cool, or to make the transitions between the values a little smoother. So that's all I'm doing. I'm keeping it simple, so that by that way I can rely on developing drawing skills and remembering the drawing skills that I had learned, the fundamentals that I had learned as an art student, so that I can apply it to rescuing this image from the mess that it started out as. Because the end goal is to produce a good painting, regardless of whatever medium you use, regardless if it's digital or traditional. And I'm approaching this one the same, this picture the same way that I would approach a traditional painting, and that is to say, I just relying on that brush and drawing skills and whatever, and the fundamentals again. So I'm keeping it simple, and that's one of the fundamentals is just looking at the big picture. Once I had all that color and stuff put down, I had to find the drawing and the painting there in all of that, and I had to start from the big things. Like the sculptor starts from the big slab of clay, I had to start from the big things and work my way into the smaller areas or the smaller details. And I shouldn't say details, because I'm not worried about details or about rendering, because you can't start from that. You have to start from building the foundation for the painting, and so, which is what I'm doing. So I'm limiting the digital tricks and the software, limiting the bells and whistles of software, and practicing more on the fundamentals. And I need that because I'm getting back. It's kind of getting back to the basics, like I said, what I was taught, and then beyond that is learning how to simplify, deciding, like sculptor decides with his clay what to emphasize, what to take away, what to subordinate, and all those things that I learned in the classroom as a student. Now, there's another fun thing when I thought about this exercise, and I did mention this in the other video, is there's a book called The Art Spirit. It was not written by Robert Henri. It was a collection of notes that students had taken down from his lectures. I believe he taught at the Art Students League in New York, and it was a collection of notes. He was such an influential teacher, and the students took down notes, and what they did was at some point they published these notes, put it in some kind of order into a book that has remained in publication. I believe he was around the early 1900s. He was a friend of the painters from the Ashcan School, and so Robert Henri knew them, and they were his friends. He also trained in Paris, in a very classical and traditional way, but he was very much attuned to the art that was going on, the changes in art that was going on around him at the time as well. So, but one of the things he mentions in his lectures was that one of the purposes of art is to bring a sense of order to things, bring a sense of order to chaos. And so art is about discipline and about order. That's two of the things that art is about. And not the only two things, obviously, but they're very, very important. And one of the things that I do in terms of discipline is that I make sure that I save time every day to draw, at least to draw. If I don't have time to paint, I have time to draw. Now, I work a 9 to 5. I work from a 9 to 5, which has nothing to do with art, but I also work as an illustrator, and I from time to time I've done illustrations in a children's magazine, a children's publication, and I've done those illustrations, and I've done very little outside of that over the years. I'd love to get more work in illustration, but that's what it is for right now. So I have to be on this 9 to 5 in order to provide for my family, in order to pay the rent and so forth. But being that I'm there, I also have times in the day. I have my 2 15-minute breaks, and I have a lunch break. And what I do with that time is I draw. I'm the only one who works in the room that I work in. I lock the door, and I pull out some paper and pencil, and I sit down at my desk and I draw. I have my lunch and I draw. I take my 15-minute breaks and I draw. And I use that time because it's very important that, you know what, your enthusiasm will wax and wane. You won't always feel like you need to paint. But that's where discipline, you want to paint, let me put it that way. But that's where discipline comes in. The discipline to sit down and do something even when you don't want to do it, because you know it's important to you. And that's life, because in life there are many things that are important to us, but we don't always feel like doing it. That doesn't mean that we don't want to do it or we don't regard it as important. We know that it's important, but what we need to do is we need to get it done, and we need to have the discipline to get it done in order to, just in order to get it done, because it is important. So painting is important to me. I don't always feel like painting. Drawing is important to me. I don't always feel like drawing. But what I do is I put aside some time that, regardless of how I feel, I'm disciplined enough to take that time to do this thing that is important, because I know at some point I'm going to want to paint. I'm going to have many ideas, and I'm going to need the skills and the discipline to carry out those ideas. But if I don't continue to draw on a daily basis, then I'm going to be sadly lacking in those skills. So I do this out of a sense of discipline to continue to draw and to paint, so that when I get to those times where I am hungry and I want to do something, that I'm ready for it and my skills are at least up to the level that I should be in order to face the challenge or whatever. So anyway, we're coming to a close of this painting. I was very happy to do it. I enjoyed doing it. I will leave a link to the other video. It will be longer. My explanations will be longer, and it will be more detailed. If you like that, please take a look at the other channel. If you like this, please take the time to leave a comment. I would appreciate any feedback on what you think about this video or this painting or my thoughts, or share your thoughts and your ideas, which are entirely valid. And come back again. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and there will be more videos. That's it. Here's the final painting. Thank you, and bye-bye.